everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Berkeley Alumni's Pass the Mic, where we pass the mic to you. I'm Jaquel Illy.
I'm Patric Pharma.
Hi, boss. How are you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I think I'm at the point where when I fill out a date, I'm at 2026.
Right. Like, wow. Can you believe it? Like, 2026 is so crazy. I'm just super excited. New year, new episode.
Yeah. I'm also hitting that age where, when it goes from like 2025 to 2026, it makes you suddenly realize like something was 18 years ago instead of like 5. So
especially like when you're going to put your age in something and then you have to do like that long scroll. I mean, yours is probably more than mine, but still for me, I'm like, whoa.
I feel attacked.
This is getting crazy. No. No shade, no shade. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. We hope that this new year brings great things, great experiences, and we are excited for you to see what we have in tune for the rest of the season. So before we get into the episode, boss, I have a quick game I want to play.
Uh-oh.
It's a surprise, and surprise, surprise, surprise. Okay, so this game is called Keep, Drop, Try. So I want you to tell me one thing you want to keep doing in this new year, one thing you're going to drop from the previous years, and then one thing you would like to try this year.
Okay. I actually, at a previous job, we kind of had our reviews like this, and it was stop, start, and go or something like that. Everybody was booed that. Keep, drop, try. Okay. What would I like to keep? My sparkling personality.
Yes, I agree.
I have a lot of plans. It's funny thinking about living life on a school year and not kind of on a calendar year. So like every few months, it feels like a new beginning. In September, I made plans for Berkeley, for myself, for projects and things like that. So I want to keep going on those things. Drop. What would I like to drop? I would like to drop. That's a rough one.
Yeah, got you thinking. I like this.
I think it's always good to try and be a little more bold. So I think I would like to drop maybe some timidness I have around putting things out, when you're a content creator or a songwriter or something like that. There's always like this feeling like you have to explain yourself before you present your work, and maybe drop some of that timidness. Go out there, step out.
Yes, I like that.
And then what was the third one? Go, try.
What do you want to try this year?
I've never had a massage.
What?
Like a professional massage.
Massage envy? What? What's going on?
I've never had one. My wife got me a gift certificate when we were dating, and I never used it.
What? How long have you been married?
We've been married 11 years and we've been together for like 15 years.
Okay, great.
So that I'm sure that expired. So yeah, let's try some self-care. Let me see if I can actually do something like get a massage or go to the spa, something like that.
You deserve that. Self-care.
Thank
I like
you.
that. Yes.
All right. So what's yours? So now you got to do it.
And it's crazy. I had this for you, but I didn't think for me. Okay. And I also did not think, okay.
But that's what you're supposed to do on air. You're supposed to save it for the air.
Okay. You're right. All right. So I'm going to say one thing I'm going to keep doing is going to the gym. I love going to the gym. It gives me a clear mind. It allows me to just focus on me and just like some me time. And it allows me just to pour back into myself and just to focus on me again. So I'm going to keep going to the gym.
That is something I learned about you like right up front, like day one. You're a gym rat.
Yeah. I like to just maintain because I also love to eat. So it's a balance. You get me? It's a balance. Okay. So one thing I'm going to drop. This is also going to be tough for me. I'm just going to say I'm going to drop anything that I feel like may be holding me back. And it doesn't even have to deal with like content or anything. Like any fears or like insecurities I have about like putting myself out there, and that can go for anywhere. I'm going to drop that. It's a new year. It's a new fresh. I think one of the things that holds people back in general is just like caring what other people think. And so once you just like have that self-confidence, I have self-confidence already, but it's just like I'm ready to take it to the next level.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to drop anything holding me back.
As someone who has to scroll down to their birth date further than you, You do get to a point in your life where you're like, okay, how much longer am I going to hold off on this? Yeah, you definitely get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm grown up. I gotta do this at some point.
Right.
I think the alumni can empathize with that too, because
absolutely,
when you're trying to build your career, especially a career like this, like everything is immediate feedback. Everything is hearing something that maybe you don't want to hear. If you have a mindset of, I'm going to boldly go out there, I think you're in a little bit more control than if you're kind of like a little more meek and sitting back.
And one of the best things I always like to tell myself is like, it's okay to fail. Like, fail forward. Like, you will never know if you don't try, and time is going to pass anyway. So it's like, we just got to keep going. Whatever it is, like, at least you tried. And that's something that I want to be able to look back and say, like, I tried it.
Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah. Okay, so the last thing, try. One thing that I want to try this year.
You want to try sushi again?
I love sushi. I actually like it, but not the raw one. I like I like cooked tempura one, shrimp tempura. Thank you. But one thing I want to try this year is to read more. I really want to read more books. So if you guys have any book suggestions out there, let me know. I really feel like reading is really a good skill to have. It's going to boost my vocabulary. It's going to open up my mind to more things. And reading anything, not even just like, I'm not trying to say like self-help books or like tips for this. Like, it could be anything. I just want to read more. So yes, that is my keep, drop, try.
I have this stack of books next to me at my desk. And what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a journal. And I try to at least engage with it at some point just to keep that muscle going. But that's very difficult, especially in this day and age.
Okay, this may be a little embarrassing. I try to read and not be distracted. I didn't touch my phone, but I had to like just stare. I just had to stare to just try to focus. So I, like you said, in this day and age when it's so easy just to like scroll through anything if we're not intrigued or if we're like bored or whatever. With the book, like, you know, like I paid for this book, I need to read this book. So that's something I got to do.
All right, that's a good goal.
Well, thank you. Thank you for playing my quick game. And maybe at the end of the year, we could check back in to see how that went.
Uh-oh, accountability.
How the progress went. Accountability, yes. So who are we interviewing in today's episode?
Today, we are interviewing Dr. Lenora Helm Hammonds, who is an alum from the class of 82. And she is also
the dean of the Professional Education Division.
That division it's a hearty division. There's a lot of different concentrations in there. Yes. There was a lot of ground to cover when we interviewed her.
Yes, it was a lot of ground, but we were able to learn so much about Dr. Hammonds. We were able to learn about where she's come from. We heard so many different stories. We heard her journey of how she was able to get to where she is today and the common themes that run through it. So we are super excited for you all to hear. We are super excited for all the great things that she will establish in this division in the years to come as well.
What you see is what you get with Dr. Hammonds. She is very authentic, and Berkeley is very, very fortunate to have her at the helm. Hammonds. See what I did there?
Wow. Okay, well, here's the episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Berkeley Alumni's Pass the Mic, where we pass the mic to you. Today, we have another special episode. I am Jaquel.
I'm Patric.
And I am Dr. Lenora Helm Hammonds.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you. It's so exciting to be here with you.
At last.
At last. Like, how did we do this?
Yes, absolutely. We're super happy to have you, as you just said. So we've been, as we talked before, we've been trying to get this in the books, and now we finally have this going on right now. It's such a hot day. It's a summer day, but we made time.
It's so hot. I can't believe it's this hot in Boston. Like, what's going on?
I know. We started the summer and it was all rain.
That's true.
Right,
and now
exactly.
it's like,
nice 90 degrees.
90 degrees.
Cook eggs on the sidewalk.
Literally, and stiff heat too. So to start us off, we wanted to just know, like, can you break down the different offices you oversee in your role that you currently have on campus?
And by the time you're done with that, I think the interview will be over.
Well, it's quite interesting to be back as an alum, as dean of the Professional Education Division. When I came to my office and looked at the placard on the wall next to the door, it made me teary to come back to my alma mater and be able to serve in the way that my role requires over the areas that really were responsible for the way I developed my career. Mm-hmm. So I have 5 departments and 4 institutes. So that's music education, music therapy, music business management, liberal arts, and professional music. Mm. And professional music is kind of the degree where you do a little bit of both things, where you can design your own degree and or make sure you create the kind of journey and degree experience that you have everything that you'll need when you leave to work in many different facets. Mm-hmm. Often you don't know that you need that kind of degree when you first come in. First right. You say, oh, I want to major in game music writing or film scoring or performance. We also, because we've merged with Boston Conservatory, you can major in dance, theater, classical music, etc., musical theater. And so in my division, I have the opportunity for people to get a degree in music business management or take one of the minors or a track where you learn some of those same the coursework. Music education has many different minors and areas too. So, for instance, teaching artistry, a minor in instrument repair, a master's degree in teaching with autism, a specialty in autism. Wow. Music therapy has a minor in arts and health minor, and music therapy is really a vast field now. Mm-hmm. That degree has been in place over 30 years, right?
Yes. Celebrating the 30th year, right?
It's coming up in October. We're pretty excited, as as 4 institutes. So the institutes almost are like little nonprofits connected to each degree. So in music education, there's the BIAAE, and so that's Berkeley Institute of Accessible Arts Education. And in that institute, they provide classes for individuals, youth and adults who have accessibility needs. And it's an amazing program that runs every Saturday year-round. So at any given Saturday, you could come on our campus in our building and find students who have any number of physical, mental, different ways that they learn, and they're being taught music, and they have concerts regularly. It's really phenomenal. Oh, wow. The Center for Music and Health, that is also one of the institutes that provides training for the students who are in the music therapy program to provide services with hospitals, veterans, addiction centers, community work with all kinds of individuals who can be aided by the work that music therapists do. And so then the other 2 institutes, one of them is called BPMI, and that's with the music business degree. And BPMI is Berkeley Popular Music Institute, where for 3 semesters, the students go through a program of learning how to develop live music artists. So they find Boston-based bands or student bands. They develop them over a semester. They present them for concert at the clubs and venues in the Boston area and really get them ready. And then by the summer, they're opening acts in these big festivals all across the world and now internationally. And then there's the Center for Innovation, the Center for Impact and Innovation that's coming from the music business major, and they're developing an entertainment law clinic.
Wow.
So I have a really hopping division. I say that we're the best of the best here on campus.
Absolutely. Sounds like you're really setting up students for success, like after graduating, right? Like making sure that they get the tools that they need, that they're going to use in their real lives.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's such a ripe area too. You know, you have all the hospitals, you have so much different educational institutions and, you know, venues, and it's just ripe for this area at this time.
It is. I was really surprised that there were so many. We have so many, much of a concentration of hospitals, clinics, and services to the community in Boston that we feed. They even had in the center, the Music and Health Institute, they even worked on a project with Nicorette for smoking cessation, where Berkeley students wrote the beats and the music that went in the smoking cessation app.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're always working on things that are connected to an app, and the students are writing the music. We coordinate with the writing division, so those students write music for in BPMI, when the students are being developed to be opening acts for these big festivals, they tap the students in the writing division to see what songs they have for the new artist. So the collaboration element is there too. The students need to learn to be successful when they graduate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So like you said, this division is already popping, but as your role as a dean, is there anything that you have planned for the future? Any other things that you hope to bring into the division?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't have taken the job if not.
Yes.
I love adventure. I love the entrepreneurial part of the work in the music industry, and to see how you pollinate and how you cross-pollinate different opportunities for students. So we're working on now, and we've been given the charge from our new president. And I think Jim Lucchese has a brilliant mind for entrepreneurial kinds of projects and collaborative ideas. And we're working on revenue generating opportunities for students and the college. So where we, like just with the partnerships with Nicorette, we have partnerships that are coming up with other corporations and businesses to find any way that you use music that our students can help produce the music, produce the experience for the audience, produce the outcome for corporations and businesses. We are at that table. We're co-designing opportunities, whether it's a widget or a service, or think of us as the next Apple. Just incubating all of these different projects right here in the professional education division. Yeah.
It's interesting because like that, I think that Berkeley continues to find new ways. If you think about it, if you think about Berkeley Online stemmed from very initial correspondence programs, and that was kind of a new wave. And now it continues to go. And I've been thinking a lot about like the idea of 21st century education and the way academic institutions prepare their students, much in the same way that library systems are now changing to come up with, this is now like where the community gathers, and it's not just like a place where you're don't talk,
Right,
things like
right.
that. Right. So like you're saying with Jim coming aboard too, it's really interesting. I think it's an exciting time for students because you're starting to see an earlier return on your investment of your education.
Oh, absolutely. And we're thinking about that. I spent 20 years at a previous institution where the idea is you come and you get your degree and then you go out into the world. But in the performing arts, you really have to prepare students, because we have students coming from other countries. We have a large international population. We have students coming right from high school into college, and we have non-traditional students who maybe they spent the first part of their young career on the road, but now they want to finish their education and get a degree and go back to their hometowns or home countries and open a music store, open a music studio or an academy, etc. But there's that element that uses where corporations and businesses are now understanding that music is a vehicle for every aspect of what they want to do, whether it's marketing or really enhancing the products that they provide to their constituents. And so we're looking at that and we're pivoting so that we match what's happening and be in lockstep with what's happening in business. And one of the things about online education that you mentioned, I have always been a proponent of online education. In 2013 is when I had my first Zoom account,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So this is 7 years before the pandemic. So when the
Right.
pandemic happened, and my peers at my previous institution were like, "Oh my God, how do we teach online?" I was like, "I got you, I got you
Right.
back."
Yeah.
And I was teaching those courses. Excuse me. My research is in pedagogical, technological, curricula development
Wow.
and
Okay.
intercultural maturity. So that's a big, long, gobbledygook word for getting people to know what it's like to interact with people who aren't like you. And doing it online so that the aspect of being online requires that you do a certain amount of inquiry into who you are speaking to in the little boxes.
Right.
That time when we first did this research, there wasn't Zoom as a vehicle. Mostly it was WebEx, right, and the clunky MySpace and things like that. And as technology developed, we had more access, broadband increased in different regions. Well, what that means for me today in my role as a dean in the professional education division is I'm thinking about what's happening 5 years from now. So I'm charging my chairs and department chairs and my assistant chairs to get trained in AI so that you know what part of your job AI assists. Don't immediately put in your syllabus that for the faculty that you can't use AI for the students. Teach them how AI helps you do kind of the grunge work of some of the research, but then you use your critical thinking skills to ascertain, is what you're looking at on the paper, is it true? Is it correct? Could you be a prompt engineer in this niche of information and inform those people who are coding or inputting this information that no, that's not correct. That's not how a minor 7 flat 5 chord should sound or look on paper. No, that isn't the right historiography of how jazz developed in the United States or went abroad, in different places of the world. So when I said earlier that my work in this division really comprises everything that I had to do to be a thriving working artist, it's true.
Right.
And so I want the students to know that, and I want my team to really think and work like that as well.
Wow, that was a great answer. I'm over here like, wow. I think it was really interesting to hear like your perspective on AI because like AI is such a huge topic today, even with the alums. Just trying to figure out if that's something that should be considered. So I think it is interesting to hear your viewpoint. Like it is something to be considered, even if we're just trying to see if they're wrong on what it is and on the information that is being outputted from there, right?
Yeah.
Like it's important for the students to know how to use it and to maneuver it, like whether it's for good or bad.
We definitely have to interrogate it. Whenever something's new, people reject it right away. Look, think about seatbelts, not smoking in public.
Okay.
The internet, when it came on, people, it had been around for 30 or 40 years, used by the military, and then people are like, the internet, it's going to kill us. And people are the same. It's right to be concerned about intellectual property, copyright, the dark side of AI.
Yeah.
But before you reject it whole, investigate what it is and isn't. It's not going away. You're not going to refuse to use it. It's the same thing now if people say, oh, you want Google search or the phone book? You about 1 second and you're like, well, I'll use Google search. Just find out what it is you don't know and how it's already affecting you. Every time you go to a website and you have those stupid pictures that come up, those CAPTCHA.
Yeah, the CAPTCHAs.
And they ask you to identify the stairs or identify all the bicycles.
To make sure we're not robots.
You're informing AI what a bicycle looks like. You're informing AI just whether you know it or not or want to participate. And you can't get past that screen if you want to go to the next screen. So you've already been... I won't say a victim, but you've already been part of the machine that AI is. Just find out what you don't know and find out what the questions are so you can be at the table. You can't win an argument if you're not in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to say dropping gems. You cannot win an argument if you're not in it. I got to write that down. That was a good one.
Well, and when I'm editing media, there are some AI tools that I can help to sweeten the audio or, fix the color on a video, and they're tools. And I'm not just inserting it like money into a feeder and then it does it for me. I'm working with it to help manipulate things and make it better.
Assist you on the little things that would keep you, working 2 more hours.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
I saw a teacher use a phenomenal way of using AI with her students. These were middle school students, and I guess she asked them what they wanted to do when they grow up. And she used AI to generate a picture of them. I guess she got permission from each parent to take a picture of them in their present day, and then use AI to advance it if they wanted to be an astronaut or a ballerina or a doctor. And then she displayed it in class for them. And so when they saw themselves in the policeman uniform or the doctor's stethoscope, they just started crying and cheering. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I've seen people do the babies, that
They're talking
that have
babies.
you cracking up. The baby's saying things that, oh my goodness, is the baby really thinking that?
Yeah.
I was on the floor rolling with laughter. But I've seen people use it in a way that helps support self-esteem in young people or engagement in a classroom. There are many different ways we can use it. I do not like when they steal music and still intellectual property.
Right.
We don't want that. And it's hard to be able to put a lid on that. But there are positive sides to it as well.
Yeah. I think Timberland was trying to create his own AI artist and was like signing it. And there was like a lot of feedback about that. So a lot of people, I think, maybe are against it when it's used
to manipulate.
Exactly. Yeah. Or just to try to like be very close to known artists' voices and stuff like that. So I think that's cool.
Yeah.
So you have a jazz background, and I wanted to know, what about jazz draws your attention? Like, what about it?
I wouldn't say I have a jazz background. I'll say I'm a jazz musician.
Musician.
In my core, since I was 15. My father was an oil painter, and I would sit on his lap while he painted. This is when I was a little girl. And I would fall in love with just that experience of creativity and music together. And he would teach me what I was listening to. He would say, oh, this is Dave Brubeck's record, Time Out, and these are the songs. And that's the saxophone, and that's a piano, et cetera. And so that's me as a very young person. I think I got bit by the bug at 8 years old in a talent show, lip syncing to James Brown and Lynn Collins, It Takes Two. It takes two to make a thing go right. So growing up in Chicago, music was all together on the radio. You didn't have these little categories you have now. So I understood music as, a whole thing, not, genres separated. But when my daddy would teach me about jazz musicians and teach me the history, I was just bit by the bug.
Right.
But by the time I got to high school, I remember trying to take a bus trip to getting on the bus to go to high school. And a guy came out on the block, like I was living with my grandmother at the time. And a guy came out on the block and said, hey, girl, can you sing? And I was like, yeah.
Just randomly?
Just random.
Okay.
Like I didn't know him. I was like, yeah. He said, oh, well, we need a singer in our band. Can you come to our practice on Saturday? I was like, I have to ask my mom. So I asked my mother, and my grandmother said, well, who is this boy? And I said, he's the boy in the second house, She said, oh, I know that family. So my mother gave me permission to go. But she says, you can't go by yourself, take your cousin. So I took my cousin Cookie, and we went to the rehearsal, and I auditioned for the band, and, I became part of that band. So I was around sophomore in high school. And every Saturday we would rehearse all the songs, and we did everything from Joni Mitchell, Led Zeppelin, Chaka Khan, all the music. And we would do concerts and family events. But after the rehearsal, we would listen to jazz music as we were like putting up the instruments or eating or whatever. And I heard a record of John Coltrane playing Nancy with the Laughing Face. And I thought, what is that sound? Oh my God, what is that? I want that.
Really?
I want to know what that's about. And I heard Lady in Satin, Billie Holiday's record, and they would play these on repeat. And I said, okay, I'm a jazz musician. I want to know everything about it. I want to learn it. And they said, well, you got to go to Berklee College of Music. That's the jazz school. Because at that time, everything in the core, what we call the core of the curriculum, was jazz. And I said, I'm going there. I'm going to that school. And yeah, ever since then, I've been a jazz musician because jazz is a very democratic music. It's a music of the people. It's America's treasure to the world. And everything about it, whether I learned about the people, the way musicians had to really be at the top of their game for improvisation, the way that you can all come from all parts of life on the same bandstand, and if you know the songs and know the language of improvisation, you can play together. All of that appealed to my values and who I was, even as a young person at 15. And I never left that, even though I've studied classical voice and Indian classical singing, even though I've toured as a background singer with Freddie Jackson and Michael Franks.
Wow.
Even though I've had many, many different iterations in other kinds of music and style, I'm a jazz musician. I always will be.
Wow.
It's interesting. I have a friend who's a painter, and we're talking about his background being painting and my background being music, and how we both approach visual, video, photography type stuff. You know, and he's very, I must go at this time when the shadows are this way, and it has to, you know, and he has an app that will show him what the sunlight will be like at that time.
Wow.
And I'm the opposite. I'm like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to capture what it is in that moment. And we're talking about that difference of like when you're, especially in jazz, and when you're saying it's democratic, it's like being in the moment, being with what's going on, and making the art from that. Yeah, it's just kind of, even when I'm doing film, I still kind of approach it from like that musical sense. It's interesting. And you know, when you're talking about earlier, it's like I can see that in when you're talking about all these different, I mean, you're the conductor of all these different programs and institutes and everything, you know, but it's a perfect background for you.
It's so funny how it kind of coalesced that way. I think my daddy always, and my mom was just this brilliant cosmetologist and teacher, and taught at my grandmother's beauty school. And my father was this artist, but then he ended up stopping to do that, to take care of his family, and had other kinds of jobs. But their mindset was always about continue learning, continue growing, being authentic, being curious, being someone who looks at where people are going and doing, and then going the other way, like not being afraid to shake the status quo, not being afraid, but questioning. And so really embracing what was happening in the moment, and not saying, oh, it has to be this way instead, but okay, how flexible can you be? How can you land on your feet even if you're turned upside down in some of the circumstances? Because many times we were turned upside down. We were very modest means, and sometimes those modest means were even less than modest, right? But we had a kind of resilience that they built into us, and I think maybe that's what drew me to leave my family in Chicago and all the safety and come to Boston, where I didn't know anyone. But lucky that my alums, I'm from a class of my alums and peers who were here at that time. We clung together, and we did everything together. We practiced together. We would collaborate on who would sit in line to get the practice rooms so that we could keep them all day. And that group of musicians, it's an astounding list. If I gave you the list of all the people who were here at the same time, we were kind of like the golden age of Berklee, we like to say.
Yeah. Oh, you got to show us some pictures. Send them over. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
So you kind of already touched on this about like coming to Berklee, but before Berklee, you attended Cornell, right?
No, I got accepted to Cornell.
You got accepted to Cornell.
And I turned it down.
Right.
And it's funny, a funny story. So I was accepted to Cornell because I was a math and science geek in high school, and I was going to go into pre-med. And I got accepted to Cornell. I got accepted to Purdue. And so my mother was like, bragging that I was going to go and be a doctor and blah, blah. But the band that I was in that I told you about, we all snuck applications into Berkeley. And 2 of us got accepted. And so May of my senior year, I told my mother, I'm not going to Cornell, I'm going to Berkeley. She's like, what? Berkeley? What's up, Berkeley? You can't go to Boston. I was like, Mommy, I want to be a singer. She said, you could be a singing doctor. Well, I am now.
Right. Yes.
But she was disappointed, and she came around eventually. At first, she was really not happy, but yeah, I didn't make it to Cornell. Sorry, Cornell. So happy that I came to Berkeley instead.
For sure. They're lost, of course. Yes. So I remember you talking about your singing doctor story when you received when you were inducted into the Berkeley Gospel Hall of Fame. So first of all, congratulations to that. That's humongous.
Thank you.
It was so cool to see you up there receiving the award, but then also like singing with the alumni Reverence Gospel Ensemble.
Yeah.
So how was that? Can you just explain what that means to you to receive that, and then just like the whole atmosphere of that weekend?
I'm still pinching myself, and that was months ago. It was very surreal, Jaquel, because it was a moment that I didn't factor in ever happening because I'm a jazz musician. And when they first emailed me, I said, you all have the wrong person. There were many other people in the Reverence Gospel Ensemble who've now made their name in gospel music. They said, no, it's for what you've achieved by being a foundational member of the Reverence Gospel Ensemble. I says, oh, okay. I mean, it really took me a minute to accept it, not wanting to be out of integrity with where my career had really had its place, and not wanting to take anything away from someone else who may have been considered to be inducted. But by the time that moment came on the stage, I had made peace with it as being indicative of a journey that started from Reverence Gospel Ensemble. And my hat's off to all those foundational members and Lisa Harrigan, who was the founder of the Reverence Gospel Ensemble as a student. But to Dr. Emmett Price III for bringing to bear this event.
Right.
The event is really important for the history of those students at that time. Reverence Gospel Ensemble under Dennis Montgomery and other previous directors has come to be part of one of the iconic things about Berkeley all over the world. So it was really a special moment. My family went bonkers. They were like, what? Hall of Fame, Berkeley. And I remember thinking, what am I going to say when I go on the stage? What am I going to say? I was so worried. And I'm really bad at like a speech. I'm really a writer who speaks.
Okay.
So I usually don't have to write notes. I usually am able to kind of share what I'm thinking because, I don't know, I was a bookworm when I was a little girl and always read lots of books, libraries. The library would come, the library on wheels would come to my community.
That's sweet.
So that moment, I didn't write a speech, but the person who got an award before me sang.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, I will not be outdone. So I said, what can I sing? What can I sing? What can I sing? So I said, okay, go up there, make it short. What can I sing? What can I sing? What can I sing? And I was like, summertime. Yeah. I was like, okay. But I'm a jazz person. And the living is easy.
It was good, honestly. I loved it.
Jaquel and I were standing on the side of the stage.
Oh, you were?
Because we were filming the whole backstage portion.
Right.
Oh, okay.
We saw that unfold, and we were like, oh, wow, everybody's singing now.
Yeah, it was just so cool.
And then they surprised Karen Bell with the
Wasn't
award.
that amazing?
Yeah.
I love that. That was so cool. She's so deserving.
Yeah,
I was watching her, and I was like, All right, Karen, time to sing.
Oh yeah, Karen has laid a lot of foundation for a lot of the alums when she was director of the Alumni Affairs, and she invited me back. She was the first person to invite me back to Berkeley as an alum to be part of a panel she was doing, and she had that great quality of service, of being a servant leader. What a phenomenal person that she has been for so many of us.
Yeah, I
She was
agree.
still in the alumni office when I started.
Is that right?
And so she's kind of my role model for how to do the alumni stuff.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's phenomenal, as is Ron Savage.
Yeah.
He's laid a lot of foundation for us as alum. Just stellar in the service. So it's exciting. Berkeley it's exciting to be back. I feel like Cinderella.
Yes, I was going to ask you, like, how has Berkeley changed you and, like, the idea of what it means to be an alum? Like, being an alum and then coming back and working in the role as a dean. Like, how has that shaped and molded you?
Well, Berkeley has had lots of metamorphoses since I left. When I was here, Berkeley was about 2,500 students. There was not a lot of diversity. There was not a lot of international students. And Boston itself was very racially tense. So my mother was right. You're going to Boston?
Yeah.
Right.
So it was a difficult time, and I didn't tell her all of the things that I encountered. I encountered my freshman roommate was extremely nasty and mean and racist, and I had to get a new roommate.
Oh, wow.
I had 3 roommates, and one of them was just horrible. But I survived and kept going, and Boston at that time was really challenging. The first booking agent I had a very negative situation at a supper club that was built around race, where we were rehired after 2 successful times, but when I changed the makeup of my band, I was told, oh, you can only have one other Black person in the band.
What?
And I changed it and went with a whole group of Black, the trio and myself, and they fired us. Said, we don't want, you can't, the agent said, you changed your band. I told you you couldn't do that. I said, okay, they don't want you back. They'll pay you for the month, but they won't hire you back. I was like, okay. And so that was hard. That was a really difficult time and lesson. But I just kept moving on. I eventually left Boston and moved to New York and, had a great journey from that point. But it taught me some good foundational lessons. My teachers at that time when I was here, and I was one of 2 Black women in the film scoring department in the first iteration of the film scoring degree, we just kept encouraging each other. Jean Ricks, hey, Jean, encouraging each other and kept going. And, it was an important time to get my legs under me for what I would meet in the field later as a musician in New York and abroad and all the different ways. I worked as an international, recording, performing artist and educator. So I never really thought about coming back to Boston, and I didn't engage with Berkeley in any real way. I would just read the Berkeley Today magazine, shout out to Mark Small, and I would just hear about things. I knew friends that were working here and teaching, and I was happy doing the work as an educator where I was before. I was in service at an HBCU in North Carolina, and I thought that's important work. But so when I got the call to look at the job description for the dean's job, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to Boston, and I'm not interested in that job. I like the job I'm doing. Because I'm very much a leader who likes impact, who I want to work in a realm where I can have an impact and serve the field. So I was doing wonderful work in vocal jazz and jazz studies at an HBCU, and those are areas that really need educators and really need people to help. But I read the job description, and Sean Skeet, Dean Sean Skeet, was very persuasive. He said, really look at it, really think about it. So I said, okay, I showed it to my husband, Fred, and he said, you're doing this job right now. I said, okay, I'll try it. And I never expected to get called back. And I got called for the first interview. I was like, what? Oh, no. what? Am I going to leave? And so I went through all of
Yeah.
that, and I got a coach, changed my resume, and I said, well, I'm not going to get it. I don't have to worry. And
Boom.
boom. And now I'm here. And so, yeah.
Well, I totally understand why you say you feel like Cinderella. I thank you for sharing that story with us, and it's kind of crazy just to see how that kind of like all transformed, like from your experience in Boston and then coming back. I think it's kind of like, yeah, like look at me now, like look where I'm at now, right? And I kind of wanted to just dig a little bit deeper. You say you learned a lot of lessons, right? So I wanted to know, what were those lessons, but also like what gave you the drive to just keep pushing? Like, I know that could have been tough being one of the only Black women in your department, in your program. Like, what made you not give up and persevere?
My parents taught me that it's not where you're from, right? Because my first few years as a young person, we were in one of the worst housing projects in Chicago. But my parents taught me it's not where you're from, but it's who you are and where you're going. You just keep your eye on the prize. And my granddaddy, Preston Helm. But my intention was to be a jazz musician in New York. Nothing was going to stop that. Not, being in Boston at a time that was so racially tense that it was the first place I was ever called the N-word, right?
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, but Boston is different now. It's so progressive that we have a woman in the attorney general's seat, a woman governor, a woman mayor. I was like, what? That's not Boston. And seeing Boston now, where there are many places that are built for families to be thriving and work and walk, and the emerald necklace and all of this stuff that wasn't here in Boston. So Boston has grown up. And I'm really grateful that it's now a place where you want to come to and you brag about. And Boston, being in Berkeley at that time, I learned lessons of perseverance from my peers, because I spoke about them a little bit, but we really did hang together and work together. All the jazz musicians would go to Wally's every Saturday and hang out. The instrumentalists were really focused on improving their craft. You're talking about, I was in school with Branford Marsalis and Walter Beasley and Smitty Smith and Gene Jackson and Dwayne Cook Broadnax and Wallace Roney and Greg Osby and Cecilia Smith and Cindy Blackman. And these are people who are now at the vanguard of the field in their instruments. Rochelle Farrell is just extraordinary. It's an extraordinary amount of talent that was here at one time, and we encouraged each other. We would encourage each other. If we saw someone hanging out in the lobby, we're like, what are you doing here? You should be shedding. Or if we saw someone who was struggling, if someone said, man, I'm really having a hard time in arranging, we would get together and study together. So we developed a work ethic and a camaraderie and community together where we had each other's back and there was no failing. No person was going to be left behind. Right. I felt like I was in the Navy SEALs.
We're in this together. We're all going to get there.
Musical Navy SEALs. And so that work ethic, that community, and then my parents taught me, you don't give up, you keep going.
Right.
I was going to figure it out. And what I did learn from the professors that I had at Berkeley, who I'll never forget, Orville Wright, Bill Pierce was here at the time, Donald Brown, piano teacher. They taught us, Maggie Scott was my voice teacher, they taught us to think about excellence, and they taught us to really think about not compromising that. And so what would happen when I would go into different communities of musicians, whether I was on the road with musicians, whether I worked for my first job when I left Boston at a booking agency. In this booking agency, Norby Walters / General Talent booked Luther Vandross and the Four Tops and Patti LaBelle. So I learned everything about that field, about what it is to do live music, what it is to be on tour. Then my next job, while I did like gigs in the evening and tours, was at Sony Music in business affairs. So I learned about the business there. I learned about the business aspect of the field. And so the music business management degree in the professional education division was like a microcosm of those few years, my first few years in New York, and learning all of that part of the business side of the music industry. But I kept the work ethic from my community and the grounding of values and character from my family. And I just kept moving through whatever opportunities were there. I think it's persistence, I guess, is one of my core values. And then I spent a lot of time on personal development.
Right.
You can have as much talent as you want. You can have as much education or degrees as you want. But if you don't develop yourself, your ability to look at whatever's happening in your life and decide how you're going to respond to it, you'll be kicked in the mouth by the things that happen in the ebbs and flows of a business working in the music industry. It's an industry of rejection. It's cutthroat in some ways. You know, there'd be some background singers who would lie about you, not tell you the right time you're supposed to be in the lobby for the tour bus. And they said, "You said, I thought it was 8:00. No, it was 7:00, and we're waiting on you. You're the last one on the bus." Or we had to leave and go to the airport, and you're like in bed in the hotel. Sabotaging, because they wanted your gig and wanted you to make enough. So, you know, you have all kinds of things like that. It was like, oh, really? But those groups of students and those teachers that I had that pressed upon you that, hey, you could be talented, but it's who are you being while you're not only on the stage, but off the stage. Like, you know, don't be someone that's hard to work with.
We hear that so many times, many times. Yes.
Yeah. Especially when you're spending so much time with someone.
Right.
It can't be someone that you don't want to be around.
It's your second family.
Right.
And so I got a good lesson the first time I was on tour with Emmanuel, a Spanish singer. About a year and a half, we were in different locations all over South America. And here I am with my suitcase. I had like 3 or 4 suitcases. I had all my shoes in one suitcase, my makeup and jewelry in another suitcase. And they're like, we're not helping you. And so I was like yanking all these suitcases, and I was like, you come with one carry-on and one bag.
And one check bag.
No one's helping you with a trunk full of costume
You just
changes.
wanted to be ready.
I wanted to be ready, but
good.
I was not road ready yet.
Yeah. It's okay. It's all lessons.
So.
I can only imagine you telling your mom you're going to move from Boston to New York. She must have not.
She thought I had really started. They were like, did you? Because at the same time, I changed my hair and I started wearing my hair like in locks.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, did you change your religion? I was like, no, I didn't change my religion. And so it was just a really funny thing. But, you know, every time there was a change to make from where I would live, there was you know, it was almost like God himself would say, grow.
Right.
Because there would be something that I couldn't resist taking. So I was in the airport reading in the want ads. Was visiting my friend, and I was in the airport, and I was reading the want ads. And there was an ad for the job at Norby Walters Booking Agency. And I said, hey, there's this job at Norby Walters. They're like, oh, that's a big agency. You should call them. I was like, oh, okay. So I called. I said, hey, is that administrative assistant job still open? They said, yeah. Can you interview tomorrow? I said, they want me to interview tomorrow. They said, well, don't get on the plane. Come back and you'll go to the interview. So I went on the interview the next day. And then I was at the interview, and it went well, and they said, can you start tomorrow? So I called my friend. I was like, they want me to start tomorrow. And he said, okay, well, tell them yes, and we'll go get you clothes for tomorrow and Friday, and then we'll drive to Boston and you could sublet your apartment. Can you find someone to sublet your apartment in Boston? I was like, I guess.
Wow.
And so I went to, I forget what store it was. And we went and bought clothes for me for Thursday and Friday. Wow. And I went to work Thursday and Friday, drove to Boston, emptied my apartment, sublet it, drove back, and I was living in New York. It was just like that. The same way that the application and being accepted to Berkeley happened, that job, that opportunity, now I moved to New York. So, you know, by that time, it was one of those very weird things where it's like, okay, it's time for you to go.
Right.
Yeah. Same
divine
thing
timing. When it's that time, you got to just get on it.
Exactly. The same with timing for taking this job. Like, I'm not leaving North Carolina. Like, well, yeah, you are. So when Ron Savage called and said, hey, you want to come to Berkeley? I was like, quit playing.
Right.
And I started like dancing all over my house. I'm like, you know, screaming.
Like, now we got to move.
And my husband was like, Boston? I was like, look, this is how we're going to do it. So,
got the plan.
Yeah, everything worked out.
Well, also being able to recognize those moments too.
Right.
You know, that's a surefire way to success. You know, hanging in there and recognizing it.
Faith. It's faith. Because opportunity sometimes is dressed up in work clothes, right? And you don't notice it as an opportunity because you have another idea of what the opportunity should look like.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm moving to New York because I got a gig with, you know, on Saturday Night Live. Well, no, it was a job as a secretary at a booking agency, but that opened my whole world up, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's like you're talking, you're preaching. Okay, so the last thing I just wanted to speak on was you talked about your HBCU experience working there, and I love HBCUs because I graduated from Albany State University in Albany, Georgia.
Yes.
For undergrad. So we talked about, you were talking about HBCUs and your experience at a HBCU and teaching there and the importance of, you know, like kind of fostering those types of institutions, because sometimes it doesn't have all that it needs to be to where they want to go for their mission, right? And I wanted to know, like, what are some things that you learned from your experience working at a HBCU and teaching there and how you apply it to your current role today?
What a great question. It's not that HBCU education is lacking. It's that it's an environment of first-generation college students most of the time who may not have come to their journey in the performing arts, particularly with 8 years of individual lessons on their instrument, or came from school districts that had music in their schools. It doesn't mean they're any less talented. It means that you spend a different amount of the time you have with them, catching them up to their fundamental and rudimentary skills they need for the performing arts at the same time that they're getting their liberal arts education. And so it takes a certain empathy for that circumstance for each of those students. And it takes a certain awareness about how you speak to them and how you nurture them so that they do come through that experience feeling as ready and as deserving and as professional as students that might come from a private school education or a well-resourced school district where they had music theory and music harmony arranging performances, where some of these high schools, you know, they are taking their summer tours of their kids to European performances and competitions.
Right.
And so it gives you an acute, visceral feeling about the differences in the economic disparities in education, right? And sometimes they're not as resourced on the administrative side. So where at a PWI, a primarily white institution, you have administrative settings where there are 10 people in the financial aid office, and at an HBCU there's one person. Right. And so that the amount of time it takes to get things done may be very different. So it builds up for you as an administrator a certain resilience. There's that word again, right?
Yeah.
A certain resilience and a certain kind of sensitivity for how people go into the workplace with an entirely different experience from their peers.
Right.
So how do I make sure my student sits in the line getting interviewed next to another student? They're both talented, but they're sitting waiting for their Juilliard audition. Mm-hmm. Who feels ready and who feels competent? Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. And so when I came to Berkeley with that experience for 20 years at an HBCU, and then my last couple of years as chair, I had so many more skill sets of handling every aspect, from recruiting, admissions, auditioning, creating the pedagogy, creating the curriculum, designing the pedagogical tools, working on the internet, working with resources. I feel like, after working at an HBCU, I could run a little country.
Honestly, right? Yeah.
Honestly. But the feeling of having each other's back and working in community is so beautiful at most HBCUs that when you come, and ironically, my degrees were all at mostly PWIs. My undergrad at Berkeley, my master's degree at East Carolina, 30,000 students, just a single-digit percentage of diverse students. My doctorate degree at Boston University, another university that's a PWI, not the same kind of diversity. So that time in service as an educator and administrator at an HBCU prepared me for the dichotomy I would see when I come into a setting like Berkeley, and urging my peers to think outside of their own personal experience when they're making policy and setting procedure and thinking about how to serve students that have a diverse background. Are we making sure everybody has the same opportunity of access of the resources and of the experience? Yeah.
Hearing that reminds me of when we first started talking, and you were talking about how you had your little community of support while you were a student here.
And we still meet every Memorial Day.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. That's so sweet. Yeah.
It's amazing. Shout out to 83, class of 83.
Woo, woo. Big shout out. Well, that's all that we had to talk to you today. Thank you so much. I feel so full leaving this conversation with your voice, first of all, is so calming. It's just like, I feel like I want to set up my own meeting.
Oh, you should hear me cuss. No, but thank you for saying that. I guess I'm a lifelong meditator, so maybe that has something to do with it.
But also just the words of wisdom and like your experiences, I feel like empowered me. So thank you so much for your time. And I'm super excited to, now that I know you, I'm going to be popping in or sending you emails just to check in or just to like highlight you in some future alumni campaigns that we have. So I'm feeling good.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's
Absolutely.
been my pleasure to be here. I learned a lot from you both too. And now I have a new friend.
Alrighty. Awesome. Thank you.
And that's our interview with Dr. Lenora Helm Hammonds. I'm going to take this opportunity to plug one of our videos on YouTube, which is the Reverence Gospel Ensemble Reunion, which follows the reunion of the Reverence Gospel Ensemble, obviously, at last year's Gospel Extravaganza. And Dr. Hammonds receives an award there. And there's also some other folks like Karen Bell and Major was there and some other folks. So go to youtube.com/Berkeley alumni and check that out, because I feel like that's a really good extension or complement to this episode.
Right. You have heard it. So now you can put the visual to the story that she told.
All right. And Jaquel, who do we have playing us out today?
Yes. Playing us out is a song called In From the Cold from alum Patric Skog, class of 97.
We'll see you next time.